Success, I do believe it's a state of mind. For me, it started becoming adding value to a person, to a plan, to a job, to a company. And it started really for me at home. Growing up, I noticed a lot of men were successful in business, but were divorced. I'm not trying to classify, I'm not trying to profile. But I do think I ran into some men at this particular point in time who were very successful in business, couldn't get it done at home. I was one of them. And then I had a man ask me, he goes, do you know any men that are successful at home that aren't successful in business? Well, that's an interesting concept. Let me start looking for those guys. And I found out, you know what? Those guys that were successful at home and had meaningful relationship with their wives and had servants' attitudes and paid attention to their kids, got involved in their kids' activities, found time for them. They kind of did all those same things at work. Incredible. What are they thinking about? It's not all about the last dollar on the table. It's not about a title. It's not about power. It's not about fame. It's about serving. It's about giving. So I started trying some of that. Boy, it was hard. Talk about peeling away layers of onions and stuff you'd built up over the years. But it started to work. But 2 times, again, unsuccessful as a married partner. 3rd time, a charm. Why? A different mentality, a different attitude. The one common denominator in the 2 failed marriages? Me. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again the same way and expecting a different result? Wow, shocker. Hold on to that one for a while. Maybe I ought to try some things different. Maybe this can happen a different way. We can have a better ending. The second best lesson I learned after I knew it all: treat people the way you'd want to be treated. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? One day, each of you, I challenge you to try and treat everybody you meet that day the way you'd like to be treated. I just challenge you. Maybe you already do. Most of you probably already got this down and you're flying, you're kicking. This is kind of new to me. I'm just about to be a teenager doing it. I'm like 12 years old. And I'm starting to get a little traction. I'm starting to feel it a little bit. But I'll catch myself snapping at my kid. I called my kid a jerk 2 nights ago. A 4-year-old boy. But I caught myself in the heat of the moment. We're trying to eat. I'm trying to teach him, do this, do this, do this. And finally he just looks at me and just dumps it. And I said, you little jerk. And my wife said, what made you say that? And I goes, he's a jerk. She goes, apple doesn't fall far from a tree. Why do you think he already knows how to twist you? He knows how to stop you in your tracks already. And she's right. I don't call him a jerk every day, trust me. That's the first time I've ever called him a jerk. But it caught me again. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. I don't want anybody calling me a jerk. Nobody. I got called a lot of names out at Coors Field. You let those slide off your back. That's a different mentality. That's a different thing. But started with my wife. One thing I have found out in my dealings with the female gender, you can't outgive a good woman. You cannot outgive a good woman. Can't do it. They will give back and give back and give back and give back. I also wore that definition of hell knoweth no fury like that of a woman scorned. I've worn that one. But truly, when I made every effort and every attempt to outgive my wife, it wasn't about winning, I just couldn't do it. Women are built different. They're supposed to be. Their makeup's different. They're supposed to compliment us. We're supposed to compliment them. And the one thing I found out, the more I give my wife, the more I get back. And that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because she's earned it. She deserves it. I respect her. So, successful people, they interact with each other. They never stop learning. They don't whine. They don't brag when they win. They don't whine when they lose. They read, listen. They pay attention to others. They don't isolate themselves in times of challenge. They ask for help. How many of you, this is one of the best stories that's ever happened to me that I can use in a large group. Guy, girl, wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, however you want to play it out. It's happened to me 3 different times. You're going to go to a party. You're in a car. Significant other looks at you in those glowing eyes, says, you know where you're going, honey? You look back at her, he says, baby, I know where I'm going. We got it. 20 minutes, we'll be there. Halfway there, she looks at you, you know where you're going? Yeah, I got it, girl, we're good. 10 minutes, we'll be there. 5 more minutes, I know I don't know where I'm going. And she asked me the third time, do you know where you're going? I go, yes, I know where I'm going. How about that tone, that change, that direction? Of course I know where I'm going. This was my life for the first 20 years as an adult. Rather than pull over, ask her for help, ask her for directions, all I did, the male ego, my balloon's full, I'm ready to rock, I'm ready to roll, I'll figure it out. I drove faster and got lost quicker. True story. Is there any other man in here that's done that? Isn't that amazing? We didn't go to school to learn that. We didn't read a book that told us how to do that. We figured that all out on our own. Male ego. The less you have, the more successful you're going to be. It'll catch up to you, and it'll bust you. Successful people don't keep a scorecard. They don't count how many times they helped you, they called you, they invited you, and they loaned you money. We don't keep up with the Joneses. Successful people don't keep up with the Joneses. How many times you as a wife, woman, female, male, husband, you spend money you don't have, buy things you don't need to impress people you don't like? Ever done that, Roland? I've done it. I'm going to tell you right here, I've done everything I've mentioned. I've done. I had 20 years to do all this stuff, and I'm trying to clean it up. But I mean, think about it. We do it. It's a trap. It goes back to ego. I saw a bumper sticker a month ago. He who dies with the most toys wins. Excuse my language here, but what jackass came up with that? I mean, actually, there was probably a point in time in my life where I was, look at that. Let me get one of those. I think about it. What are we really concerned about? Are we trying to leave a legacy? I've never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse. Been to a lot of funerals. Have not seen a U-Haul behind a hearse yet. I mean, where are we trying to go with our life? What are we trying to do? Third best lesson I learned after I knew it all. There are two kinds of people in this world. And this works in sports, in business, in anything you want, anything. Two kinds of people in this world. Those that are humble and those that are about to be. No doubt. I've been that guy. Chest get big, puff up. I've seen players, I've seen coaches, I've seen managers, I've seen women, I've seen men, I've had friends. It took me a long time to figure it out. No, people that are humble don't talk about being humble. They're humble. No, George Brett was the greatest hitter I ever played with. Never talked about being a good hitter. Just hit. So, you know, with the players, the one thing I always tried to get is capture their heart. And I think in business, whether you have people working with you, working for you, you're working for somebody, if you can capture somebody's heart, you have a chance of being successful in that relationship, in that merger, in that plan. And by capturing their heart, you need to pay attention to them. You look them in the eye. I mean, it's not a text. It's not always an email. There's a time to pick up the phone, but actually there's a time to engage in personal conversation, which our society is really losing the grasp of right now. And I'm part of that. I have a 2-text rule. I text you twice, I'm done. I'm not texting you again, I'm calling you. I know you can say, well, I'm in business. Well, okay. I'm just throwing this as a shout out. That I already know people have lost business because the guys have called them back and said, you never call me. Well, I texted you 37 times. He didn't want text. He got tired of text. 2 days ago, I had this conversation with a guy who lost a huge account. He said he gave me no warning. I said, he didn't have to. He just did give you a warning. You're done. Pick up the phone. We'll say things in a text. There's no emotion. You can't figure it out. Guy could be making a joke. You read it. You're mad. How many of us have left a seething voicemail and then we've actually seen that person, it was a whole different discussion? I'd take calls from fans when I was managing from time to time, and boy, they'd leave me some messages that blow your ears back. And then I'd call them up and say, hey, so-and-so, oh, no, Mr. Hurl, no, that's not what I said. I go, well, I just listened to the message. That is what you said. I can manage a meat market. Trust me. As soon as I'm done with this gig, I'll show you. There's two things we can bring every day to be successful. It's our attitude and our effort. You can bring that every day. A lot of other things are out of your control. Attitude and effort you can bring every day. You know, nobody knows how much you care until they care.